Hello guys, welcome to another video of VIP Chess. Today we'll be looking at a game between Nepo and Magnus in the second day of the finals in the Legend of Chess tournament. Magnus won the finals, which meant that he, along with Ding Liren, Daniel Dubov, and Hikaru Nakamura, are going to the Magnus Carlsen Tour finals on August 9th, which I will talk about more later. Anyway, let's look at the game. So Ion had the white pieces and he opened with e4. Conventional move. You have c5, the Sicilian defense. f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, a6, h3, and we have the nutshell variation. And h3 is a very unconventional move. Usually it's either bishop c4, bishop d3, or f4. In this position, h3 isn't even on the list of moves in the opening book, and which means we have a nearly completely new game. And well, actually has been played to an extent. It's not a tried and tested move like many others. Maybe that's why Nepo played it to surprise Magnus. Well, Magnus was surprised he didn't show it. He just swiftly responded with e5. And then we have knight b3, bishop e7, g4, gaining lots of space on the king side, e3, h6 to stop g5, bishop e3, knight bd7, a4, knight f8. He's just trying to repurpose his knight and bring it to g6 because it's not doing much on d7, and c5 is not an option. d2, knight takes c5, and then after d takes c5, there's all sort of and then you'll have queen takes. So if he had played knight c5, it'd be takes, queen takes, and then probably bishop takes. Then you win a pawn, and then white gets a really good position here. So of course you can't have that. So we have knight f8, then bishop c4, developing the light squared bishop, knight g6, queen e2. Of course you can't castle kingside due to this pawn pushes, so you have to castle queenside, and Nepo is preparing that. Bishop d7, f3, rook c4 attacking this bishop, and of course Nepo would just it's putting pressure on the bishop. The queen does defend it, but it does lead to a lot of tactics. If you don't attack it would have been just better to move this bishop back, because it does lead to a lot of tactics. We'll see later in the game. If h4, knight h7, h5, bishop h4 check, and the best move here would be king f1 here, but Nepo decided to be creative and sack the exchange, which equalizes the position. And and it's surprisingly not a losing move, due to the fact that white has all these 4 major pieces out in good positions, and this rook wasn't doing anything much anyway, and this bishop could have been a really big threat later on. So he took. Then knight takes h4, 0-0, knight takes f3, and of course you can't take the knight, because then the rook would simply just come down and take the bishop. So you have to let the knight just be on its way. Your rook takes d6, then queen e7, rook b6, escaping the threat of the queen. Bishop takes g4, black winning another pawn. Bishop d5, 0-0, and black gets his king to safety. You have queen g2, which was a mistake. Here it would have been just if he had taken the bishop, then he would have had an okay position attacking the rook, and then he would just simply move his bishop back. But instead he played rook queen g2, which was a huge mistake. Afterwards, Magnus just followed it up with queen h4. He rook g6, which was a huge blunder. I mean, you can see what the idea is. Idea is to after rook g6, the pawn is pinned by the bishop. So once this bishop moves, you have a good attack. But and you can't blame him for not failing to see that this is a blunder, but it was, and he lost in the game. You have knight has g5, king b1, and now we have bishop e6, which wins the rook. Not because after bishop takes e6, and then after f takes e6, you are threatening a lot of stuff. First, for example, just straight out queen e1 and then take the bishop afterwards. Or you could sack your rook and bring it, get a good attack. So you weren't in a good position here. So after rook takes e, and then the best. So thus you had to take with the rook, and we have queen e1. We have f takes e6, and bishop takes b7. Then you have queen e1 check, just forking both the bishop and the king. Bishop c1, and now this doesn't work because of the knight and the queen. But otherwise it would have been a very powerful attack. You have rook takes c3, sacking, exchanging the rook for the knight. B takes c3, knight takes c4, winning himself a pawn. And then we have bishop takes e4, knight takes e4. Back here, if he had just taken up this knight, he would have lost in the game immediately. After knight takes c3, the king doesn't have anywhere to go, and he would just keep losing pawns and have a very exposed king. And once this rook comes into the game, it would become very dangerous. So after bishop takes c4, you have queen takes c4, bishop takes h6, and then rook f7, stopping the checkmate. Bishop c1, queen f5, queen e2, rook c7, and now you're again attacking this pawn, which can become, once you get rid of this pawn, it could be very easy to start getting a good attack. You already have a good attack, but this could be a mating attack. Queen takes h5, queen takes a6, queen e8, queen b5, and this position is completely winning for Magnus, but Nepo has some chances here. If Magnus does make a mistake. You have c4, king of 7, c5, knight d4, bringing his knight back into the game. Now you have queen f1 check, king g8, bishop e3 check, and queen takes a4. And this protects the knight. So after something like bishop takes and then pawn takes, you can't take the pawn. But this is what happened in the game. You have queen f4 afterwards, and then queen d7, queen e5, which was an inaccuracy. King c1, just getting the king to a safer position would have been a better move, but queen e5 was a bit too aggressive too quickly, and it cost Nepo Nepo and gave him a worse position. You have rook b7, queen e4, rook b8, then queen e5, rook b4, queen e4. Now Nepo is just trying to force a 3-minute repetition, but it doesn't work. You have queen d5, offering a trade of queens. Of course, Nepo can't take it because you are down the exchange, and this passed pawn will just dominate afterwards, and this rook can just go snap up the other few pawns. So if he had taken, then that would have been just a complete loss, because this pawn would have just made its way down the board. Thus, then you can say queen. You have rook c4, queen f4, queen g4, queen f5. Offering another trade of queens. You really want this trade because then you would, if in this position, you would get 2 pass pawns, and this would have been just utterly dominating. And this knight can't do really anything because it is pinned, and if the king does try anything, you can just sack the rook for the knight. So of course you can't trade the queens. So we have queen f5, we have queen h4, and then rook c4, queen d8 check, rook king h7, queen h4 check, and then king g6. So if you had moved back to g8, you would have been caught in perpetual check, and then that would force a 3 more repetition. So after king g6, we have knight takes d4, winning a pawn. And now Magnus had a completely dominating move here with queen takes c2. After knight takes c2, you have rook takes h4, and then you manage the trade of queens. And of course, if you don't take here, then let's say you just move your king, then it'd just be mate, no matter what. So you have to take, and Magnus missed this though, and he could have easily forced a win here, but he chose to follow along his Nepo's agony. We have queen g4 check, king h7, queen h4 check, king g8, queen d8 check, king f7, queen d7 check, king f6, c3, and rook takes c5, winning game, grabbing a pawn, queen d8 check, king g6. I mean, now at this point, Nepo would love nothing more than to force a 3 more repetition, which would get him a better which would get him a draw. Remember, at this point in the game, at this point in the match, Nepo had already lost the first match, and he on the first day, and he had lost the first game. So you couldn't. He had to either force a draw, because coming back from a 2-0 to loss is extremely difficult. You have queen e8 check, king h7, then queen d8 check, queen d8, which was a huge blunder now. So if we go back, queen takes e6 would have just someone not got him a better position, and it would have just been a rook for a knight, and then there would be 2 pawns that would try to make their way down the board. However, queen d8 just blunders, and we'll see why. After rook d5, and then rook h5, queen h5 check, and now you can't check black anymore, and now you're just simply threatening to not just try to trade queens, and after which you just sack for this and let these 2 pawns become queens. You have queen g4, and now rook d6 for protecting the pawn. You have queen h4, queen f6, trying to trade queens again, queen e4, rook b6 check, king c2, king f7, queen a8, queen g6, king d2, rook b2 check, queen e3, queen g1 check, king d3, queen f1 check, king e3, king f2 check, king d3, queen g2 check, and now knight f3. Sorry, queen g2, not a check, but knight f3 was a huge mistake now. There was a checkmate, There was a checkmate in there was a checkmate in 16, which was unavoidable. I'll quickly show it to you. I'll quickly show it to you. Now we have queen e2 check, then king d4, then rook b5, then c4. And while this might look like something, all you have to do is just keep getting rid of the pieces, and it would have gone something like this, where you just win the knight, And after you sack your queen for the rook, otherwise, just to prolong the checkmate, otherwise once you move over, you have a simple major piece checkmate. So you have to sack, and then afterwards now you can pretty see why it's straightforward. You just let this pawn and then just push this pawn, and even if you push this pawn, you can still push yours. And at this point, you would just simply go for this check. And even if you move back, you simply move this pawn if this pawn can't promote yet. So if you try something like this, you could promote just to a queen. And I don't think this is a mate in 16. I think I didn't see the line somewhere. But you can simply trade, and checkmating with the king and queen is fairly straightforward. But after knight f3, Magnus did not see this yet. So we have queen e2 check, queen d4, now queen d1. Now he lost the forced checkmate sequence. Now we have king e3, and again Nepo's like, why not? Can you try to checkmate me again, please? But Magnus again, Magnus did see this time. Rook e2 check, king f4, queen d6 check, king g4, rook g2 check, king h5, and g6 check. And this is where Nepo resigned, because then it would just be straightforward. King h6, rook h2 check, king takes h2, queen f4 check, king h7, and queen takes h2 checkmate. These squares are blocked by the king, and the queen just controls this file. That's why Nepo resigned. He had nothing he could do, and with that, Magnus started leading 2-0, and he drew the next match, which one of the Legends of Chess tournament. And now he won 3 out of the 4 tournaments in the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour, which was an online series that he organized once this situation in the world started. So that's afterward. Daniel Dubov won one of the events, which guaranteed his place in the Magnus Carlsen Chess Tour final, which is the next event. But Magnus Carlsen won the other 3. So Hikaru Nakamura and Ding Liren go to the final on the basis of they were the next best performing players based on points, wins, and second place finishes. That will start August 9th. The format basically is so the Magnus will go against Ding Liren, and then Hikaru Nakamura will face Daniel Dubov. Whoever wins each of their semifinals will go to the final. The semifinals are structured the same way as the semifinals were, except there are five days with 5 matches, 1 match per day instead of 3, and the final will have 7 matches. So there'll be a lot of chess, and we'll see who wins. Alright everybody, I hope you enjoyed that video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel below, and watch my previous videos as well. I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.